to the DMF. I'm your host, Justin Yance. This is episode 42, and this is the wrestling show, so it's just wrestling. So if you're looking for movies or anything else, you're out of luck. This is only wrestling. So we're going to talk about AEW. We're going to talk about SmackDown this week, last week's SmackDown. I'm going to talk a little bit about Raw, last week's and this week's, and we're going to end with the Streak documentary by Goldberg. So stay tuned. Well, first off, we should start off with a little bit about Impact, because I did watch that, and that will lead into AEW. Now, Impact was just basically an interview with Kenny Omega and Don Callis, basically proclaiming that he will be the collector of belts. Now, he has the AAA belt, and he has the AEW World Championship belt. I think he probably will get the NWA Championship belt, maybe the ROH belt, and he's probably going to get the Impact belt. That would be 5 belts, and then let's give him the IWGP belt, and he would have like 6 belts, which no one has done. And I think that would just put him on another way. Impact, some people liked it. I didn't find it all that much, but I'm not as familiar with all the characters. I saw Rich Swann. It looks like they're building to Rich Swann and Kenny Omega. But yeah, I don't know. I was kind of frustrated with this show. But the Kenny Omega and Don Callis interview was great. It set the stage for what we are now going to talk about, which is AEW Dynamite. Now, this was on the 9th. And let's just start off. We had the Young Bucks versus the Hybrid 2, which sounded like every time they said TH2, it sounded like they were saying THQ, which I found humorous at times. So there we the Bucks. The Bucks won with the Meltzer driver, and wait, no, they did not win with the Meltzer driver. What happened here? Okay, they hit the BTE trigger, followed for the win. Yeah, okay, there we go. And then the Acclaim came out and tried to attack the Bucks, and then SU ran out. We had MJF cutting a great promo with Orange Cassidy, saying he's an embarrassment, he's going to beat him, he's going to bash his brains, and it was great. I thought this was a wonderful job. Then we had a little video played where Darby Allin was doing a Rorschach test, and he was seeing different things, and I think it's building to Brian Cage. Then we had Cody Rhodes came out, and Arn Anderson, and Tony Schiavone, and then Sting's music played, and he's taken the whole Game of Thrones type of thing with the snow effects on his entrance, and there he came. So Sting talked about, he pretty much, was kind of like, stoic Sting, and then he said, nah, come on in here, Tony, come on, say it one more time. And he said, it's Sting! Then we had the Cody and Sting, and they had like a little talk, and, he said, look, I'm not really here for you. He pointed to Darby Allin, and he said, some of you I'm familiar with, some of you I'm not. Arn Anderson leaves because he was nervous. And Sting said he has plans to stay. He's planning to stay with AEW for a long time. And then he told Cody that he'd see him around. Something like, see you around, kid. And he walked off. I thought it was good. I mean, Cody's favorite wrestler was Sting growing up. And if you ever watch any of the WWE docs with Cody talking about Sting, you see how much Sting meant to him. The same way I felt. He said that, it was almost like he was crying for WCW. Like he was the Avenger. And his face paint represented tears. I thought his talk about Sting on it was the Monday Night War documentary. thing that they did for the WWE Network, not the one that was released on home video. This was, well, they both were released on home video, but this one was made specifically for the WWE Network, and I thought that was so he loves Sting, and I think we're going to get a really good we're going to see a really good job being done with Sting. We had Taz in the back with a little promo. FTR then faced the Varsity Blondes, which I gotta be honest with you, I thought it was Jungle Boy at first, but it's not. They had a good match. The Goodnight Express with the win. FTR exchanged words with, Then we had a Hangman Page interview backstage with Alex Marvez at the bar. I think 2021 is going to be Hangman Page's year. Then we had Dustin Rhodes versus 10 of the Dark Order. I'm liking the Dark Order more and more each time. I don't know what it is. I couldn't stand them at the beginning of the year, and now I'm kind of like, I like these guys. Shaquille O'Neal interview. Shaq was the highlight of the. He held the highest rating. I didn't really like this. I thought it was kind of uninspired, but I get why they're doing it. So you know what? More power to them. Inner Circle Ultimatum was next, and basically they teased that Guevara was like, look, if any more things happen, I'm out of here. So Samuel Guevara, they've seemed to plant the seeds to him getting kicked out of the Inner Circle. He's going to go face. I don't know when, but it's going to happen sometime. Wardlow and Hager had had a little face-off. Wardlow spoke for the first time. It was kind of wooden, but you know what? Give him time. Batista wasn't great at first. Just keep protecting him. Santana, I believe, wasn't there because he had a death in the family. So, our condolences to him. My condolences to him. They shook hands, so no Inner Circle breakup, but it looks like, I gotta believe that Samuel Guevara is going face. I don't know that. FTR and Tully Blanchard had an interview with Alex Marvez. They're still upset over the Full Gear loss. Eddie Kingston, the Butcher and the Blade versus Lance Archer, Penta El Zero, Mido, and Rey Fenix with Jake Roberts. I thought this was okay. The Butcher and the Blade hit a powerbomb neckbreaker and beat Phoenix, so Phoenix loses again. I don't know what to make of this. Also, where's Pac? Why wasn't Pac here? I don't know. I don't know why it wasn't. They had Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill with Vicky Guerrero. They were. Okay, Nyla Rose and will be okay. Yeah, so they fought backstage. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even really pay attention that much to this part. Abaddon defeated Tesh Price. I like that they're building to Abaddon. It looks like Hikaru Shida and Abaddon will be a good feud. Dash interviewed the Inner Circle. Jericho said, we're all one. We're all on the same page. And he said that MJF is going to win. We had Kenny Omega and Don Callis arriving with the helicopter. This was great. He came out, awesome entrance, everything. And he said that, the people don't realize what is about to happen, So we got, more of a tease of the Collector, and then he did his signature once again. Goodbye and good night. Bang. We didn't have a fight with him and Moxley, so I guess he's selling the beating, but I gotta imagine he's going to retaliate this week. We had the Dynamite Diamond Ring, MJF versus Orange Cassidy. I wanted Orange Cassidy to get the ring. I thought that would have been cool, but you know what? If they're going to keep it on MJF, that works too. Miro kind of screwed Orange Cassidy out of the win. So it looks like the best friends and Orange Cassidy versus Miro and Kip Sabian. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, Kip, Miro, Miro hit the lariat. It's been a week, so it's hard to remember all of this here. And then, MJF beat him. I thought this was a good show. A lot of things. Some people thought there was too much Crash TV, but you know what? It's working. Their ratings are going up. They need something else, though. I think they need, like I said, like I've teased before, and many, I think the Bullet Club invasion, CM Punk, CM Punk did an interview with Renee. Apparently it was Renee's idea to bring him in to the WWE, that WWE backstage show. So good stuff. I'm enjoying AEW. I got no complaints. Just keep doing what you're doing, and I think they're just going to keep getting better and better. So enjoy. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about SmackDown. Okay, so SmackDown, and we are at the December 4th SmackDown, because it's been almost 2 weeks. So the big takeaway was Pat Patterson died that week, and they did a great tribute to Pat Patterson. We got Thank You Pat chants. Roman Reigns did a cool interview, which was claiming himself to be, the guy. We had Owens come out and challenge him, so I like that. We had a video tribute to Pat Patterson. Then we had the Pat Patterson tribute match with Daniel Bryan, Big E, and Rey Mysterio defeating Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Sami Zayn. Probably all guys that Pat Patterson went to bat for. Because if you know anything about Pat Patterson, he is somebody who fought for the guys that he knew had talent and were not getting pushed. And one of the people that he helped bring back was Daniel Bryan. So, like Daniel Bryan said on the interview, I think he did backstage, which was for YouTube and WWE.com. He said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't really for Pat. So then we had a Sasha Banks and Carmella interview. King Corbin defeated Murphy. Who cares? And then we had the other great thing that happened on here. We had Kevin Owens and Otis versus Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. It was a DQ. Reigns had the guillotine submission on Owens, which I like. He's getting that over. And then afterwards, he beat him down with chair shots. Uso then hit the splash on the chair, and then Reigns started attacking Jey Uso. And then he kept hitting Owens, and he was like telling him, I'm the head of the table. I'm the head of the table. You're making me do this. As I've said in previous episodes, I love this Roman Reigns. So let's flash forward to this week's SmackDown. I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Here we are. Here's my notes on this. So we had the contract signing, and we had Zayn versus Big E. This wasn't bad. So we had the women's contract signing. We had Sasha Banks out there. She turned over the table because she was upset, and she signed the contract with her boss stamp. She said she wants her tonight, so we're going to have Carmella versus Sasha Banks. Dolph Ziggler defeated Montez Ford. I really didn't care about this match. It's fine. Sami Zayn defeated Big E by countout. I have a problem with this. I don't like it when the babyface just sits there in the ring while the heel gets himself counted out. Why didn't he just jump out of the ring and chase him down? I don't like these kind of finishes. This is not what people want to see. The Kevin Owens had a great promo. He, was talking about how I got my friends the table, the chair, and the ladder. Reigns, I believe Reigns, yeah. No, he never came out. Yeah, he did come out, and Owens dared him to come in the ring. He didn't come in. So afterwards, he came backstage looking for him. Of course, Reigns hit him and beat the crap out of him. He introduced him to the Owens. He said that he's the guy that's going to take food off of Owens' table. And he said, I'm going to take food off of his table if you don't talk to your husband and father. So, really good stuff. Reigns is so good at this character of feeling like I've been disrespected, so I'm going to take it out on you. I can't say enough good things about it. Reigns is just on fire. He's the guy. He deserves to be the guy, and this is the best character we've ever seen him do. The Riot Squad defeated Billy Kay and Natalya. No one cared. Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro defeated Chad Gable and Otis. I didn't really watch. Then we had Carmella versus Sasha Banks. I did watch this, and it was a disqualification. I don't like these kind of matches where we get a disqualification. That is not why people are watching professional wrestling, to see disqualifications. We want to see wins or losses, not disqualifications, not countouts. It seems to be like that's the only thing WWE knows how to do, is do countouts and disqualifications. Afterwards, Carmella beat up on Sasha Banks and broke a champagne bottle over her head. It looked gimmicked and it looked fake to me. And then beat her up, and that was it. And next week it's going to be on FS1. This was not as good a show because Reigns wasn't it wasn't the Reigns show. So therefore, that did not it did not excite me. Let's just say that. But I love Reigns. I like that Kevin Owens is the guy that's going to be the guy going against him. I think it's a good choice. I liked it. So, all right. I was going to do this in another segment. You know what? Let's just go to it. Raw is awful. I'm going to state that again. Raw is awful. I cannot say anything good about it. It is just horrible. It's bad to watch. It's not exciting. It just is paint by the numbers. It's horrible. So let's talk a little bit about... Here's a recap from Steve Kahn on the FW Online website. So we're talking about the December 7th Raw. It's just awful. I watched this show and I just absolutely hated it. He has on the big takeaway, none. And that is true. It's the big takeaway. They did another Pat Patterson tribute. They had them all stand on the, did the Tim Bell salute for, account for, not salute, I'm sorry. Tim Bell, tribute. That was the highlight of the show, Pat Patterson. Nothing on here is any good. We had Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt. Wyatt was in his sweater outfit. And the lights went down, and Orton did hit an RKO, but the lights went completely out. We had the red, the Fiend came out, and then he put the mandible claw on him, and the show went off the air. This show's awful. I don't know what to say. I can't say anything good about it because there is nothing good to say about it. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't mean anything. It just is a show for the sake of a show. It's very sad, and I don't know what to say anymore. So I watched this week's Raw, which was tonight. This was awful too. We had him reading The Nightmare Before TLC. The Miz. I could care less. I don't care about any of this stuff. I don't care about this feud. I don't care about... Drew deserves so much better. There's so much more you can get out of him. He's so talented, and they're just wasting him. He's just wasting away with this. So, it's just frustrating to me because I don't know what to say anymore. AJ defeated Sheamus. It's just a show. Nothing happens here. Nothing of any... We had a hide-and-seek ceremony. Then we had a championship ascension ceremony. What? I mean, you know they're just doing this in place of a contract. That's all they know how to do. Contract signings and this ascension ceremony. And it ended with Styles getting the upper hand on McIntyre and them all jumping up. I don't care. This show means nothing. This is a horrible go-home show. I just don't care. I think WWE Raw is absolutely awful. Awful, 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 awful. I can't say anything else about it. All these guys in there deserve so much better because I could write a better show than what they're doing. You could write a better show than them. The only people that don't seem to know how to write a better show is WWE. They're wasting Riddle. Riddle looks like a joke. It's horrible. It's just horrible. So those are my thoughts on Raw, and I don't know how much longer I can keep watching this. I might have to just keep reading to you results or, review results. Because I don't want to watch this show. Nothing happens. When something happens, I'll treat it well, but for me to go through this... Oh yeah, and then we had Lana got injured by Nia Jax. Lana did pin Nia Jax. With the cradle, so it's horrible. It's just horrible. Okay. So that's it for Raw, and when we come back, I'm going to talk about the Streak documentary. Okay, so I watched the Streak documentary, the Goldberg undefeated streak that was just released on the WWE Network. They did a pretty good job of going through his hits on the streak, but they missed certain points. The chronology, they don't really go in chronological order, so it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, they have all these tapes. You could just watch this stuff and see it. I might go back and do a retrospective on Goldberg. I mean, all I got to do is watching all his matches. What would be like, an hour and a half? If they were all 5 minutes. They did give Mike Tenay credit, so I was happy about that. I don't like the fact that they mentioned his police escort. The whole reason of his police escort was because the NWO attacked his locker room, and they started giving him that, and then it kind of stuck, and it was a really cool little thing he had. But they don't go into that. They kind of just, they go into the DDP match, which we've heard about for 1,000 times. I mean, I'd like to hear more about, like, the Sting match that he had in the fall, right after Fall Brawl 98. I thought that was one of his more underrated matches, because it was a match where people actually thought maybe Goldberg is going to lose to Sting. But then they had Hogan come out and he kicked Sting without the ref seeing it. It was really dumb looking back at it. It was more WCW foolishness. That just goes nowhere. There wasn't anything specific. They didn't really talk about the Raven, U.S. title. They talked about that. They talked about his Sarge and how, he said you need a finish, and how he came up with the spear. And I do agree with DDP. He is the first person really popularized the spear. Nobody really did that move till him, and now everyone does that move. And the only person I think, the two people that have done the best spears, as far as I'm concerned, are Rhino. Is the way he would do it was really unique, and sometimes you pick the guy up and spear him. And Roman Reigns, because he gets a lot of velocity in it, and he's a football player, so he knows how to do it. All the other spears I've hated. Batista's, Lashley's, Edge's, not good spears. I mean, they don't look devastating, but they worked for what they needed to do, so I guess it worked. Anyways, back to Goldberg. So that was my only frustration. They didn't really talk about that. They really recycled a lot of old stuff. I don't know why you couldn't gotten Eric Bischoff there to talk about it a little more. They did have Kevin Nash there, and he tries to say that he wasn't on the booking committee at this time, and it wasn't his choice, and he thinks that it was just Hogan and Eric Bischoff that came up with it at a bar and said that, let's beat Goldberg's streak. If that's how they came up with it, that's kind of frustrating. Whoops, I'm sorry about that. I don't know if that made its noise or not. But it was good, but it wasn't great. For me, my favorites have been the Royal Rumble one with Triple H and Mick Foley, as well as the John Cena and Edge one. I thought those were two, and then the Sasha Banks and Bayley one about NXT TakeOver. Those three were really good. This was kind of just, it kind of felt smashed together. Didn't really feel like they understood, the Goldberg streak. They didn't talk about how in this documentary they basically say that making up the numbers worked, even though when they started making up the numbers, people stopped counting. So it didn't really work anymore. Another one of the failures of WCW, of not realizing what they had. They talked about the Georgia Dome, it's all things you've heard before. Hogan tries to put himself over by saying that he saw him and, he wanted to make him. And it's like, I firmly believe that the plan was for Hogan to beat Goldberg and get the streak, get his win back. I don't think he was just going to do that. I'm a little nervous with that Chris Hemsworth show, because I hope Chris Hemsworth is up to date, because he's going to get worked by Hogan if he just sits there and lets him tell him how to do things. I hope he listens to somebody like a Dave Meltzer who will tell him the truth and the honest truth about it. Another shout out to Dave. But yes, I thought it was good, though. I mean, it wasn't great, though. And just some of the things, and then they said that originally he wanted, this was new to me, he wanted, instead of the cattle prod, he wanted actual taser, but they wouldn't let him do a taser. And Goldberg kind of takes he's like, I was a rookie, I just did what the booker told me to do. And I'm like, I don't believe that. I think he's just trying to kind of take the heat off of himself. But, maybe he was that naive. If he is, then I'm sorry, you're not strong enough to be the world champion, because the world champion needs to see through those things. I think that the taser would have worked so much better. And, the way he could have done it is just don't tell anybody. Say, listen, we're going to switch here, and I want you to shock me with the taser. My problems with Goldberg is that he had to be so intense that he had to hurt a guy. It's almost like if you were an actor and you were telling somebody, say, like, I can only do this scene if I squeeze her hair. And it's like, if you're hurting someone else, you're not acting. I don't care if that's what you have to get to. You can't physically try and hurt somebody. And it seemed like he always did, always had to be so intense. Now, he can be intense. Brock Lesnar is super intense, but he doesn't hurt somebody. That's the difference. If you can't make it look like you're, that's the work. That's the real work of wrestling. When you can make a move look like it hurts more than it actually does. Now, I love the way he does the spear. I have no problem with that. My problem is more like the donkey kick that ended Bret Hart's career, the press slam where he hurt Ming, guys like that. That's where I kind of get frustrated, where I'm like, when I hear Kurt Hennig was banged up, you don't want to hurt guys. You can be physical, and the spear is fine. That's devastating. It probably hurts really bad, but it works. It's a tackle. I think you can take that. But the other moves, when he would just go full blast and kick somebody, I'm like, no, that's too much. Don't do that. But those are my criticisms of Goldberg. I just think he should have been a little smarter there. When they ended the streak, a lot of people see that as the end of WCW. And then you had the finger poke of doom, and that was it. It was just a downward spiral after that. They never recovered. To me, the nail in the coffin was when they didn't give it to Sting, because I think if Sting had his year-long reign and then lost at maybe he lost at Halloween Havoc, and then you had Goldberg win the belt from Hogan at Starrcade. That would have been cool too. There's so many different ways they could have gone, and they just didn't, and they never knew what they had with Goldberg or Sting or many of these things. They just kind of continue to do the NWO and Hogan, and it wasn't going to last forever, and they seem to have the mentality that it would last forever. So, all in all, I like the doc, but I got problems with it as usual with WWE, because they don't do a lot of research into it. I wish I could be the person to tell them, no, that didn't happen till this. Be the content curator, the creative, judge. I don't know. I can't think of the word. Watch, as soon as I hang up, stop this, it'll come to me. But, they need somebody, a creative consultant. There you go. A consultant that, tells them, this is not how it's going, but what they would do? They would just fire you. So, I like the doc. Raw is awful. SmackDown is good. AEW is great. And if you have a chance, I haven't watched this yet, but I think I'm going to watch it soon. Watch AAA's Triple Mania, which is 28. Kenny Omega versus Laredo Kid. I heard it was a spectacular match. I'm going to watch that. And yes, so I'd like to say thank you for listening. As always, you can find me at my handle, Justin Yachts. And I will see you next time on the DMF.